Welcome to the Saratoga Springs City School District training for the prevention of workplace violence. During this training, you will learn the requirements of Workplace Violence Prevention Act and the Department of Labor regulations. We will define workplace violence, learn the key elements of the Saratoga Springs City School District Workplace Violence Prevention Policy and Program, learn where our policy statement is posted and how to obtain a copy of our workplace violence program, learn workplace violence risk factors and prevention efforts, and learn how to report instances of workplace violence. Under the Workplace Violence Prevention Act requirements in the New York State Department of Labor, the school district developed a workplace written policy statement, developed a risk evaluation and determined workplace risk factors, developed a written workplace violence prevention program that establishes and implements a workplace violence prevention reporting and recording system, implemented safeguards and control measures to protect employees from workplace violence, provide employees with information on training on workplace violence, and perform an annual review of the workplace violence incident reports. What is workplace violence? Any physical assault or act of aggressive behavior occurring where a school district employee performs any work-related duties in the course of employment, including but not limited to any verbal or physical attempt or threat to cause physical injury on an employee, any intentional display of force giving an employee reason to fear or expect bodily harm, intentional, wrongful, and non-consensual physical contact that causes injury, stalking an employee with the intent of causing fear of harm to their physical safety and health. What is considered a workplace? The New York State Department of Labor regulation defines a workplace as any permanent or temporary location outside of an employee's home where an employee performs any work-related duties in the course of employment. Examples would include working in the office, being on a field trip, out-of-office meetings or conferences, sporting events while you are acting as a chaperone or a coach, not as a spectator, and being on a school bus. The Saratoga Springs City School District has developed a written policy statement. The policy is on the district website and posted on the bulletin board in each building where annual postings are located. Board of Education Policy 8130.2 is related to workplace violence prevention. This policy is located with the other board policies in the board docs section on the website. Risk evaluation and determination. The Workplace Violence Prevention Act and the associated regulations require the school district to perform a risk evaluation to determine workplace violent risk factors. We looked at records examinations, looking at our accident reports and our incident reports for the previous school year. The assessment of relevant work policies, work practices, and work procedures that impact workplace violence. The evaluation of the physical environment with the participation of authorized union representatives. Once a year, the district will review workplace violence incidents that occurred over the previous year to identify patterns, looking at the types and causes of injuries, specific areas within the workplace where incidents occur, specific workplace practices involved in accidents, and the specific individuals involved in the workplace violent incidents. Risk evaluation and determination of the physical environment. School district administration, along with the employee representatives, evaluated all workplace locations to determine the factors that place employees at risk of workplace violence. Factors considered was contact with the public, working late nights and early morning hours, exchanging money with the public, working alone or in small numbers, and working in places of uncontrolled public access. Workplace Violence Prevention Program. The Workplace Violence Prevention Act and the New York State Department of Labor regulations required the school district to create a comprehensive written workplace violence prevention program with participation from employee representatives, example, bargaining units. Under the Workplace Violence Prevention Program, the New York State Department of Labor does not require information obtained in complying with the law to be disclosed if it must be kept confidential for security reasons, including things like interfering with law enforcement investigations or judicial processes, depriving a person of rights to a fair trial, identifying a confidential source or disclose confidential information, reveal criminal investigative techniques or procedures, and endanger the life or safety of any person. The Workplace Violence Prevention Program and documents mentioned in this recording may be found on the district's website. When going to the Staff Resources section on the school district's website, after going to the Staff Only Resource section, you will scroll down and find the Workplace Violence Prevention Program. By clicking on the highlighted link, employees will have access to all information regarding the Workplace Violence Prevention Program. The school district and the bargaining units had to identify the potential areas of risk for all school employees. Those risks include working in public settings, working late nights or early morning hours, exchanging money with the public, working alone or in small numbers, working in an uncontrolled access to the workplace, working in settings where previous security problems have occurred, having a mobile workplace assignment or doing home visits, working with a population that might expose one to potentially violent persons, and having duties that include the delivery of passengers, goods, or services. A complete list of the school district's specific work hazards may be found on the district's website under the Employee section for Workplace Violence Prevention, looking at the List of Risk Factors and Mitigation Efforts 2024. After risk factors are identified, the district must then look at mitigating factors or ways to prevent areas of workplace violence. We look at this using a hierarchy of control. A hierarchy of control is the method to rank the control measures or safeguards by effectiveness. The first is an engineering control, meaning can we reduce the risk through a physical change to the workplace? Examples of physical changes would be things like swipe cards or lighting controls. The second is workplace controls. So this reduces the risk by changing workplace policies and procedures. Examples of things like check-in, check-out procedures or itineraries. The last and least effective is personal protective equipment. This is the employee's last resort in protecting themselves from workplace violence. This may include things like spit shields or Kevlar sleeves for biting. If you are a victim of workplace violence, you'll report this on an employee form. The information needed for the form will be the workplace location where the incident occurred, the time of day, the shift when the incident occurred, the detailed description of the incident, including all events leading up to the incident and how the incident was resolved, the names and titles of employees that were involved, the name and other identifier of others involved. If it was students that were involved in this incident, please do not use student names. Please use their initials instead. The nature and extent of the injuries. If you were injured during this incident, please say yes on the form. And don't forget you will also need to fill out an accident report. In addition, we would like the name of any witnesses to an incident. A link to the form to report an incident of workplace violence is in the Staff Resources section of the Workplace Violence Prevention Program under the Workplace Violent Incident Reporting Form. However, an employee or their representative does not have to notify the district in writing in instances where there is an imminent danger of workplace violence and the employee believes in good faith their reporting to the school district would not result in any corrective action. What is imminent danger? An imminent danger is defined by the New York State Department of Labor as any workplace condition or practice that would reasonably be expected to cause death or serious physical harm immediately, or which could result in expected to lead to the danger of death or serious physical harm, which could be eliminated through the enforcement procedures of the Workplace Violence Prevention Program before that danger becomes immediate. For instances where a privacy is of a concern, your report form does not need to have the employee's name on it. Instead of the employee's name, you will write privacy concern case. The following instances will be treated as a privacy concern case: an injury or illness to an intimate body part or reproductive system, an injury or illness that results from a sexual assault, mental illness, HIV infection, needle stick injuries and cuts from sharp objects that are or may be contaminated with another person's blood or other potentially infectious material, other injuries or illnesses if the employee independently and voluntarily requests that their name not be appearing on the report. However, if you withhold your name from the report, you must still notify the Director of Personnel Development that this was you, so therefore they know who to report to for follow-up. What happens after I fill out a report form? After an employee fills out the report form is directed to the Director of Personnel Development's office. The Director of Personnel Development's office will acknowledge receipt of the form. The Director of Personnel Development will review the incident form with the employee's supervisor or principal. The supervisor or principal will investigate and determine if any mitigation efforts would prevent this incident from happening in the future and takes action. The supervisor or the principal will report their findings back to the Director of Personnel Development. The Director of Personnel Development reports back to the employee who filed the report what mitigation efforts were taken. Please be advised, not every incident may have a mitigating factor, and if this is an incident involving two employees, the employee that filed the report may simply be told that this incident was handled through disciplinary procedures without telling you the exact disciplinary procedures that were followed. After you've notified the Director of Personnel Development and a reasonable time to correct the matter has passed and the matter has not been resolved, the employee or their union representative believes that the situation is in violation or is in imminent danger, the employee or the representative may request an inspection by contacting the New York State Department of Labor. Notices to the New York State Department of Labor must be in writing, must describe in details the reason for the notice. It must be signed by the employee or their authorized union representative. The New York State Department of Labor Commissioner will provide a copy of the written notice to the Saratoga Springs City School District no later than at the time of the inspection. The employee or authorized representative may request that their name be withheld on the copy that goes to the school district. Employees can report violations to the Public Employee Safety and Health, PESH, Bureau of the Department of Labor's Division of Safety and Health directly by using the complaint form linked here. You may also call the task force hotline and remain anonymous. However, they will also ask you to fill out a written form. Thank you for watching this presentation. Please make sure you visit the Employee Resources section, Workplace Violence Prevention section on the school district's website for further information regarding the Workplace Violence Prevention Program.